Everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And John.
I'm JD.
And boys and girls, we have another fun-filled WandaVision episode for you this week.
Yeah.
It's what we do
It's all WandaVision all the time now.
for the next month anyway.
I think I'm going to steer into it more.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, how's everyone's week been? John, my wonderful friend, how has your week been?
So my week's been okay. I am really worried. I have one of my best friends is down in Texas.
No, I'm right here.
And, yeah. No, my friend Island is down in Texas, and they are experiencing.
They can't handle snow down there.
Well, no. But it's also like right now it's 9 degrees at her house. Everybody's pipes are frozen.
Yep.
Because their houses aren't built like
Built
ours, where the pipes have to be inside the wall, inside the heat zone. They have rolling blackouts. They get an hour of power every other hour, and and their houses aren't built with all the zoning and the inspections down in Houston is horrible. I actually worked down there in '94 and.
So
you could bribe people.
I've talked about this on the show before. I work remotely for a company that's based in Austin. And yeah, they're freaking out. They're losing. Like, they don't know what to do. I'm laughing the whole time.
And well, yeah, I mean, I would be laughing, except I'm really worried about my friend because they're just, they're sitting in a house. It's 9 degrees outside. The wind chill is going to be -15 tonight in Texas.
Yep.
She lives
warmer here right now.
Yeah, it is. And they have a snowstorm, a viable snowstorm in Texas tomorrow.
Yep.
It's crazy. So if anybody sees any you're probably listening this Wednesday after the snowstorm hits on Tuesday, if you're seeing any collection for help out people in Texas thing because of the snow, it's not a come on, it's actually happened. And there are millions of people down there that are out of power right now, and I have no idea what's going to happen because up here we know what happens when pipes freeze. That's why our regulations, when we build a house, the pipes have to be inside walls that are inside the heat zone of the house. Down there, the pipes are run wherever, attic, garage, whatever. So you're talking billions of dollars worth of damage of houses down there.
I think I heard that Seattle's having the same issues too. They're getting hit with snow. They're not used to it.
Yeah, a lot of the Midwest states are getting hit right now. We have an ice storm tonight here.
Yeah.
They're saying anywhere from 1/8 of an inch, like 1/10 of an inch is enough to be a major ice storm. 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of ice. North of me. So this weather is crazy, man.
Yeah, no, it's true. It reminds me, my mother-in-law, God rest her soul, she grew up she didn't grow up, she spent a couple years in foster care, and one of the places she ended up living was in Texas when she was young. And it's funny because when she went there, it was the first snowstorm they had in 20 years or something, and everyone kept joking, you brought the snow with you from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And she always talked about the story, they got a dusting and no one knew what to do. People freaked out. And then this is 1,000 times worse than a dusting. So
that happened when I lived in Texas in 1994. They got maybe, I'd say 1/8 an inch of snow. And I'm down there with my Subaru DL wagon with 4-wheel drive, oh yeah, I didn't even notice because I'm from New England.
Right.
And they closed the state for a day.
Oh.
Schools were out, there were major accidents, and it's just, and I'm sure JD where he lives, that's
I was gonna say
that's Tuesday.
I'm sure JD's laughing at all this. Though I was listening to So Wizard recently, and we've had everyone but Aubrey on the show, and she now lives down near Washington in Virginia, and they were talking about it, the last big snowstorm we got, how up in Massachusetts, they're all still working and everything's going on and everything's normal. And down there, they had already closed the schools for like 2 days, even though it snowed on a Sunday. And she's like, "We didn't get anything. I don't know what's going on." So,
Yeah.
how about you, JD? How are you holding up in this weather?
Dude, I don't leave. I've been hanging out. I went to the grocery store about 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cold. It's really cold, but it's
Well,
not.
yeah, but
It's not that bad.
You're used to that up there, right?
Yeah. I mean, this has been a long period of time. We've had like 10 straight days now of like sub 10-degree temperatures.
Yeah.
That's pretty extreme. It's cold. It's real cold. We're gonna be like that for another week. Kind of tired of it.
You're still alone, right?
Oh yeah.
So, like, are you doing the all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy now? Are you?
Oh
at
yeah,
that point yet?
you made an announcement on social media today.
I did.
Didn't you finish something?
Oh yeah, I did. You're right. The days, they're all bleeding together. John's right. I am doing that actually. Yeah. I did. I finished another book. Actually, I finished it late last night, but I guess I didn't get posted till today for some. I don't know. But yeah, I finished first draft of a new book in the series. So I'm gonna take about 2 weeks off from it and work on something else, and then I'll go back and do second draft so you can get some distance and clear head. And then Wednesday I get the notes back from the previous book in the series, so I can start making the final draft on that one.
Nice.
So I have to ask, and don't give spoilers away, but you said the picture you said was the end, and then what's the main character's name?
Ethan Jericho.
Ethan Jericho's adventures will continue in. So does it end in a cliffhanger?
Kinda.
Okay.
Kinda. I'm building towards something, and you get. I don't want to get too into it, but he's taking the next step, and we're starting the build to the end.
Cool.
Awesome.
So yeah, I've got it's book 6 I just finished. I want to get to book 9, and then we'll see what I feel like doing with them. We'll see where the story takes us. So it's cool. I'm excited. I want to get this Kickstarter out for the previous book going hopefully next month. We'll see.
Ooh, let's see how many times I can die in the series.
How much do you want to pay me, man? I'll kill you like 10 times, man. There's lots of people that die in my books.
You're gonna raise major questions. This guy, John O'Grady, keeps dying in the book. Does this mean something?
I just gotta describe as a different guy. That's all. I just gotta make time. I'll just use your name because we'll just keep doing it. We'll make it a gag.
It's a different John O'Grady at a time. I don't know.
Next, he's gonna pay for me to get killed. I just know it.
Hey, whoever you want to pay to die, they'll die. I know you got an ex situation. Just throwing that out there.
So I'm kind of curious with your long distance relationship. How was Valentine's Day?
We FaceTimed.
Yeah.
I read my little buddy Pooh Bear story before bed. It was the 23rd anniversary of us officially becoming a couple. We started dating in high school, so it was the most high school.
I saw the picture.
Yeah, we saw the picture. I threw up a little.
We were actually like 24 when we took that picture. But that's like the I don't have any pictures from when we were younger.
Cute couple.
Well, thank you. Yeah, my wife's very pretty. So it's just lonely here, man. I miss my kid. My wife's going nuts because this little shit doesn't listen to anybody. Daddy's not around, so he thinks he can get away with murder, and like, it's a thing. I think when she comes back, I'm gonna give her like a week in a hotel all by herself, and I'll just take off work for a week and just be dad. Get
her a gift certificate to a spa if she likes those things.
Not in the COVID.
Oh, duh. Yeah. No, damn COVID. It.
Well, we can do a hotel like in the neighboring town, the neighboring big town or something like that. And she can just hang out.
Or a bed and breakfast where there's not so many people.
Yeah, maybe. That's not a bad idea. We know of one actually. So that's actually not a bad idea. Bed and breakfast. But yeah, so I'm okay. I'm just working, getting stuff done. Guested on a podcast yesterday night. So that was good.
That's like Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
You're on a lot of podcasts.
Do you want to plug it? What was it?
Yeah, sure. Me and regular Scott from Take a Knee were on the Fandom Fusion podcast. We talked about wrestling, and we had to build a hockey team out of pro wrestlers, and I don't know anything about hockey. And Scott is a basketball player, so we were quickly Googling how to what makes for a hockey team. And I figured, well, I'll just pick all Japanese guys because they won't know if I'm lying or not, or if this is right or wrong. So realistically, how are they going to know? But it was fun. It was like a 3-hour podcast. I couldn't believe we went that long. So it was
That's
a thing.
what she said. Oh, sorry.
So yes, that was that's what I got going on. You know.
Cool.
How are
cool.
you, Dave?
All right. As my good friend John will probably attest to, that being single on Valentine's Day sucks.
I don't recognize Valentine's Day.
It's National Remind You You're Alone Day. I had to hide all the cutlery and drink a bottle of Jack. No, just kidding. It's funny because what kept my mind occupied most of the day. Normally, I make a pot chili for the Super Bowl, but I forgot to buy the ingredients last week, so I bought it this week. So I made a big pot of chili, because it takes hours to make it. So, and my son and I enjoyed that. And
Did you see the meme floating around with the grocery store? They had the meat package for the Valentine's Day meat package for.
Oh my God! The John Oliver last week tonight, he did a whole series of a montage of them.
Well, okay, so what the
hell is with that?
It was two hamburger patties and then a sausage right in the middle. It was. I said it to my wife. I'm like, I laughed. I said it to Michelle. I'm like, this is hilarious. She's like, I hope someone lost a job over that. I'm like, I'm sure they probably did. But if you're going to go down, you might as well go down swinging.
No, John Oliver did a whole thing of like, there were bouquets of sausages, bouquets, which is like just bouquets of beef jerky, bouquets of like lamb chops. Like,
oh my God.
This is clearly a set of, the D and the B just kind of hanging out. And it's hilarious. Like I saw it literally before I went to sleep last night, and I laughed for a good 5 minutes because I'm that immature. So,
yeah, well.
Then and it's kind of funny. I ended up this morning waking up at like 4 a.m. I was wide awake. So it's just like, gotta go to the gym, clear my mind. I do find that like just working out just clears your mind, makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Right, John?
I broke my treadmill. I'm waiting for them to order the parts to fix it, but so now I'm using the stationary bike. So yeah, but you know what? While I'm working out, I can watch TV. And what am I watching? I'm watching WandaVision.
Ah, there you go. There's your segue.
I don't want to follow that segue up with some. I watched this episode with my good Woodford Reserve, and I played a drinking game. Every time I figured something out, I took a shot. I was stone cold sober the entire time.
I was going to say, you didn't say that's a worse show to do that in.
It's like, yeah, it's like the whole thing. I'm got in the back of my mind. I'm playing that one shot from Poltergeist with the girl, in the road walking up, going, "What's happening?"
All right,
I forgot. I was going to invite Matt on because he hates the show. And I was like, I want you to get a triple T bias.
Oh,
damn, I forgot.
All right. So let's get into it then.
Set the timer. See if we can break last week's record.
Oh God.
No, please. No, seriously.
All right.
Go ahead.
So it appears here's my current theory. Going through that barrier and being changed is mutating people, so it's creating mutants.
Maybe
that's possible.
So kind of a reverse. But when did she say no more mutants? Was that House of M or was
House
that?
No, it was before. Yes, that's House of M. The very end of House of M.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because House of M, everybody's a mutant, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's my next question: how far is she going out with that?
Well, so far,
Eastview. What's the name of town? Westview.
Westview.
Yeah, so it's stretched into Eastview.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So that's like, is it going to go take over the whole world?
I don't know. At this point, every time I think I figured this show out, they've proven me wrong.
Yep.
You know,
I don't
so
know. I've
it's
been
like
right.
you nailed that one part. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah.
I don't know. Like I really, first of all, Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
For all the
beautiful.
Yeah.
people around my age, I
Yep.
literally texted my wife when that happened. It was 4 a.m. and she went and look, and I'm like, "You're gonna love this," because that's one of her favorite shows of all time. She loved Malcolm in the Middle, and like I was so happy when I saw that. It made everything to me. So I love the use of the kids in this episode. I loved how they used Pietro. I
Hmm.
don't know. I think we know a little bit less about Pietro than we did last week.
Right, because it's like,
Some people think he's a plant now.
Yeah, some
well,
people do think he's a plant now.
no, he's a human being. Like, I mean, it's
Well,
not.
he's a mutant actually.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No, you
Hey,
know
if you
what I
can make a
mean.
plant joke, I can make a mutant joke. Come on.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no, that's interesting because like she goes because she's like she recognizes him as Pietro, but says he's different,
Hmm.
and he goes, "Oh, well, you changed my face, so you couldn't." And it's like, no, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Something. The fact that he said it makes me go, okay.
Well,
Something
he's
else is pulling
aware
the
of
string.
everything that's going on too.
Right. So I don't think he actually is the Pietro. Like last week, I said like last week, it doesn't matter if he is the Pietro from the X-Men universe or not, because his very presence opens the door. Right.
Right.
And I still maintain that. I definitely don't think he's Pietro. He doesn't act like Pietro or Peter, I should say, from that X-Men universe.
Mm.
Right.
Right. Um, so he's definitely not that character, but we're meant to think he is. So something's going on. Like
Right.
clearly.
Well, I think she's. One theory could possibly be that she's schizo and that he's just a shard of her personality.
But where would she get that version of him from? That's the question.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's got to mean something because
Mhm.
everything in this damn show means something.
Right.
You know, like
There's-
they know we're going frame by frame on this puppy. So
The further away we go, the more I think we're getting Magneto. I really do. I was
So
more convinced. I was more
you
convinced
think
after
that's
this
going to be
episode.
that's going to be the Skywalker event?
I was
they're
really
talking
hoping
about?
it was going to be Wolverine last week, but now the way things are moving, especially with that whole commercial this week, I really think we're getting Magneto. They keep talking about when they were kids,
oh yeah, wait, the commercials. I read an interesting
Yeah,
article about that.
Because this commercial meant nothing to me. Like I could not.
They said it could represent one of two things. They said it could, one person saying it represents the trauma that Wanda's been through. Like the first one is related to Stark Tech. So the Stark bomb coming into the house when they were kids, and killing the parents. Um, I can't remember the other time. Lagos, where she
Mm-hmm.
killed the people by accident in Civil
Yep.
War. And then this one was, shoot, I can't remember the explanation, but basically,
It's magic. This whole thing was about magic. This one,
right, and
And,
her
like-
having to wait,
yeah.
not
I
being
can s-
able to get to it. Yeah, so they explained each one. I don't remember. Or the other thing they said is each commercial represents an Infinity Stone, but I don't think they're going to tie the Infinity Stones to this.
I've heard that one too. I don't know if I buy that one as much because I don't.
Yeah, the
don't see
Yo
that one.
Magic doesn't seem to tie to any of the Infinity
Yeah.
Stones.
It's there's I don't know. Part of me like kind of hopes this is like straight up David Lynchian and we don't get explanations for what these commercials mean, because I just saw this old interview with Lynch floating around where he's talking. I forget who's talking to. He says Eraserhead was my most spiritual film. And they said, "Oh, would you care to elaborate on that?" And he goes, "No." And he just like, because who the hell knows what Lynch is ever doing? I kind of hope they just leave it and don't quite tell us what the commercials mean. But that's just me being artsy fartsy. I don't know, man. This episode was weird. I definitely felt like Wanda took a back seat to the kids intentional. But again, you're steering into the show. It's about the kids, and I like that Pietro was channeled Francis from Malcolm in the Middle. Like he was totally playing a take on that character, and it worked. It worked super well. Like
yes, and then when the one twin is talking to the camera, like Malcolm, I'm like, oh yeah, like they nailed it. Like they This
he
is
had the
perfect.
he had this he had the Wiccan costume on immediately with
Yes.
the cape and the headband.
Mm.
I was like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Mike,
And the actors they got for the kids too were really like,
pretty
man,
good for kid
yeah.
actors. Pretty good. I was really I was concerned about that, and I was like, oh, these kids have talent.
So
Good.
Yeah.
so okay, so Agatha, or I'm sorry, what is she called in the show? Aggie? No,
Agnes.
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 Yeah.
But Agatha
Yeah.
was on the edge of town in her stupor, um, in a witch costume. Perfect. Like, yeah, okay, we're not joking. Okay, this is Agatha Harkness. Like, we're not going to joke anymore. Um, Now, when he woke her up, was she playing?
I think she was.
Yeah.
I think she was working, like, me and the pro wrestling vernacular. I think she was working Vision to motivate him to leave town.
Yes.
Whether or not that had to happen or not, I don't know. Like, I don't know why. It was a great scene though. When they're literally ripping Vision apart, it's a great scene.
I was going to
Yeah.
say he can't leave town apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what we all thought. I mean, this one we I think we pretty much called is that the reality that Wanda's creating is sustaining him.
Mhm.
Outside of that reality, he reverts back to. I mean, the reality
Is it sustaining him, or is it that he just can't leave because
well, he can't leave
she
because
doesn't want to leave?
you saw he was degrading when he walked out. It was
He
literally
was.
ripping pieces that it
Right.
had added back to him.
Right,
But
but it's
then
not
we-
like he walked. It's not like he walked out and turned gray and fell over.
Right. It was
Right.
ripping him apart. So he is alive again. Like, that was the big question. Is Vision alive, or is it just,
I don't,
I
know if it's answered that though.
No, I think he is alive. I think he just belongs in the town, and until Wanda kind of lets him go.
Yeah,
or
and I think
whatever.
when she sees Vision dead and saw Quicksilver dead, that was just like that wasn't real.
Mhm.
It's in her head.
Yeah, a nightmare, if you will.
I don't. I know. Nightmare is mentioned twice, but I don't. I think Vision really is dead. I think when he leaves there, I mean that reality is what sustains him. Like is what gives him back his personality. It's all Wanda giving him back who he is, at least as much as she
But-
has of
But
him.
Wanda
saying-
has that ability, so I do think that Vision's back on the table after this show.
I don't know.
He's an android. Like, he's not a person. Like, you can
Right.
bring Vision
That-
back
and-
to life,
and
and they
that's-
do all the time.
I was about
Like,
to say that is a running gag in the comics. He has died multiple times and come back. Like, he's been ripped in half. He's been blown up. It's like
he's been
a
different
robot.
people.
Yes.
He's had different visions. Like, that's just, he's a robot. You
Yeah.
can't, like, an android, and he's got the real human thought ways. But I think that this show, especially, which is now, I read, the #1 streaming show on all platforms,
Yeah.
is too viable. It didn't start that way too. It was like, oh, they cracked the top 10 first episode. Oh, and it's building every week.
Well,
With
the
an impenetrable.
the best meme that I saw was when they were bringing Darcy in the van and the four guys were there and she's like, well, okay, so what do you do, right? So the meme had the guy across from her, the one that didn't answer anything in the beginning, saying, do you know Snyder's Justice League is going to be 4 hours long, and then it said nobody cares, and then it showed the numbers for WandaVision.
So
So
Crazy Joe from Mega Podtastic.
A great name for a reputable source.
hmm.
Crazy Joe's. It's just funny.
He's a friend of the
Hey.
show.
I know, it's just funny when you preface it like that.
Better
According
than
to
we got
Crazy-
this covered.
Oh yes. My
No,
dog
no.
gives better
No.
spoilers than that.
He hated the show in the beginning.
Really?
Yeah,
In
because
the
he was
beginning, does that mean
like
he's
the first
grown
3 episodes. He was like, "Oh, this isn't for me," blah blah, and then it started growing on him. So it's like, and I think that's reflected in a lot of people that are
Yep.
comic book fans.
Well, again, this goes back to we just don't have any patience anymore.
I just saw a Variety article saying it's a bloated 2-hour movie played out over 1 hour increments. I'm like,
What
yes.
the hell is a
and
variety? No.
yes, yes, it in fact is a TV show. So, we've forgotten how to digest TV. No, I think that a lot of people thought I know Jimmy Palmiotti said this. He thought the sitcoms were supposed to be funny rather than awkward. Right? Like, and that's a comic. And that's what he's saying. It's not that funny. I'm like, it's not supposed to be funny. Like it's like he goes, oh well, the mission accomplished. And I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah,
But I mean,
Yeah, no,
not in the way he's saying though.
no, I know it's not. They weren't trying to ape a sitcom. They were making a facsimile. I got it right this week of a sitcom. Like they created a world based upon it. Like
yeah, it's a tongue-in-cheek kind of comparison.
And it's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be awkward.
Well, most of it's supposed to be covered up with, while we're watching it, geeks like us, we're analyzing the thing while we're watching it, trying to figure out what everything means.
Right. It's like I said, I joked about Lynch earlier, but they really are taking a page out of a Lynch thing where you're breaking down everything without a key to be like, okay, this is what this means and this is what this means.
Yeah.
We're all sitting here trying, it's worked. Like they've really hit us on a different visceral experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't this is my brother's problem with the show. He's like, I don't know what this show is about, and they're not telling me.
So it's
glorious.
I know, I think that's great.
Yeah.
We talked about this, I think last week I brought this up, and you agreed with me that you can't go into this show cold.
No.
I have a friend who actually did.
Really? What's their experience like? I'm very curious to hear. How
it's someone I've known since high school, and she's just
totally cold. Like she never watched any Marvel movies.
She never watched any Marvel movies,
and she just jumped into WandaVision.
And it's funny because her son has seen all the Marvel movies, and it was her dad used to take him to all the movies, and now she here's the whole thing, right? Like she keeps messaging me. Wait, what's this about? What does this mean? Oh, how about this? What? How come this happened? What? Blah blah. What's brother? What's up with the brother? So she started watching the movies to figure out what's going on. But her first mistake was she watched Avengers first.
Oh, the first Avengers?
Yeah, because then it was like
you can jump on with that.
I think so, but she had started having questions about. She was like, "Who's the guy with the eye patch?"
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you don't read the comics and you haven't seen any of the movies, you don't know who Nick Fury is.
I mean, to be fair, do they introduce him in Iron Man?
Yes,
they say Nick Fury.
Man. Yes.
Well, I know he's in the first one, but do they say I'm Nick Fury, or does he just show up with the patch? It's been a long time since I've seen it, so
yeah, he says I'm Nick Fury. And I'm here to talk about the Shield
Avengers,
Initiative. The Avengers Initiative. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's hard. That's a hard one to jump into. That's the only one worse would be watching Age of Ultron.
But she's doing exactly what you guys talked about. She's jumping into the movies now because the show grabbed her and she wants to know what's going on.
Network engagement. That's the entire concept of this. And like people think it's not going to work. It's not going to work. They're making it too complicated. And I'm like, you guys are wrong on this. It's like people, like the viewership is growing. Like everything that all these baby boomer pontificates are sitting there saying about this is what's going to happen. It's too impenetrable. You need to explain everything to people because people are stupid. You need to cast a wide net, not a niche net. It's like, no.
We have an article kind of related to this later in the news, but I kind of wonder because entertainment has become so fractured. Yes. And you can go on YouTube and watch 20-minute stupid videos about nothing all day and be entertained. Or you can watch a show like this that you have to pay attention to and you have to know the backstory. Or, you can watch some kind of other mindless reality TV. Like, is that the problem? Are there people that are just like, they don't want to think, they just want to be entertained?
Well, yes, there are people like that.
There's also, a little bit of it is back in our day, you didn't have that much to choose from. And so you took what you got and it trained you to sit there and be patient and wait for a payoff. Right.
Right.
Whereas nowadays, like you said, you go on YouTube and watch just about anything, or Hulu, or Vudu, or Disney Plus, or HBO Max, or or Netflix, or Crunchyroll, or you name it. So like it takes a lot to get people vested into something, and that's kind of driven a lot of these movies and shows to do the whole starting off with like a car chase and doing 7 days before that whole thing is exploded because they have to grab people now. They can't rely on us being patient because we don't have a choice.
So here's a thought that I had this very long debate with this guy a couple days ago that was based around the idea of wrestling, and like I use WandaVision as my example of how we don't need to talk down to audiences. And he's like an
Yeah.
older guy, and he's like, no, man, you cast a big net and you get big results. And I said, that's old thinking. Because back when that was said, is you had like your 4 network television, 3 for most of existence. You have 3 networks on TV. So you had to cast a big net to get as many people as you can in. Right. As entertainment has gotten more and more fractured, and there's more and more options available, people have steered in the other direction, have aimed more niche, because when you create a niche, it creates more of more investment, right? And when there's a bigger investment, there's more reason for people to keep watching and to keep coming back. Now, is WandaVision getting MASH numbers? No, nothing will. Nothing will today. Yeah. And like this dude brought up this Dusty Rhodes is this old wrestling guy who had this like, oh, if you get niche result, if you have niche goals, you have niche results. He goes, that's what he said. And I said, yes. And he also ran his company into the ground by trying to go too big.
Yeah, and for those of people that don't know what MASH is, it was a show that ran in the 70s about the Korean War. It lasted longer than the Korean War. It featured Alan Alda. It was one of the funniest shows ever made, and I think it was the finale that still holds the record.
It was the funniest show ever made until Alan Alda started directing.
And then it changed.
Yes, and it got more preachy, and then
it got dark. Yeah,
but yes, the finale was the most watched show
in history. And I remember people when I was a kid went crazy for Seinfeld, and it was like that show didn't do a fraction of what did a fraction, but it was like way similar the MASH did. But at the same time, you're talking a 15-year difference of when the two shows ended. And that 15-year difference, the face of cable television changed, because cable used to be the vast wasteland.
Yeah.
Right. It was all old shows and like movies and cheap shows like American Gladiators and wrestling and all stuff. And then the cable changed. Cable started doing original stuff, and that changed the nature of television. Now these streaming services have again changed the nature of television. So if you cast a big net like these older sitcoms would do, it's not working, because there's nothing creating investment in people anymore.
Well, you don't even need a big net anymore. You got economies of scale. There's so many ways to watch a show that as long as you hit that, like you said, that niche that gets people vested, there will be enough people to keep you going.
And that's the goal. The goal is not to like be MASH. Yeah. Right, because you're not going to. It's like the world is different. It's to make profit, and the way to best do that is to maximize your fan base. Right, is preaching to the converted.
And let's be honest, like niche entertainment when it's good gets devoted fans for life.
Bingo, for life.
So, like, and like one of the greatest examples is comic books. When in the 70s and 80s and the 90s, when like we were all reading comics, they didn't have millions and millions of people reading Spider-Man every month. They weren't getting those kinds of numbers. Like,
they would get really big numbers, but you also had returnability. So again, numbers that get reported were always numbers that got sold to the newsstand. Right. And then they would return them. So I mean, like, and that process is again, and I use this as an example too. Because Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created the idea of continuity in comics. We didn't have that before. DC never had continuity. Why is going to recycle Superman stories every 7 years? So, and he's like, oh yeah, but Stan Lee said every comic is someone's first comic. So you're right. So they did that a little bit, but he said that because that was in response to the criticism that Marvel was creating this impenetrable continuity that you couldn't follow from month to month. And what they wound up doing was they wound up getting people invested in the stuff that came before, and created the collector market and created the direct market based upon the fact that they had people invested in this stuff. They literally, like when people say they changed the game, those dudes literally changed the game and created a completely different market structure. When people are invested, everything is different. So that's why you can't compare this stuff to stuff that worked in 1984 or 1992 or even 2006. Like everything is different.
I saw an article not that long ago that said if Firefly came out today with the numbers it had, it would have never got canceled.
Right.
Because it would have been a hit today, because that's how fractured we are.
And it probably would not have, but it probably wouldn't have been on Fox. It probably would have been on something else, and it probably would have had 3-4 seasons.
Yeah,
because everything gets 3-4. I mean, like you remember, even a decade ago, stuff would you'd be lucky if a show got got its third episode.
Well, they
Yeah.
they want
And then
they
it went the
want
exact opposite.
they want enough episodes to go to syndication so they can make money off of that.
Right, but then it
Um,
got to the point where if it didn't have ratings after episode, like this is a decade ago, after episode 3, it was killed, done,
Yeah,
get rid of it. Now it's like, well, they were like saying we don't cancel anything anymore.
yeah.
You know,
All right.
Because we are going for breaking our record, right? We've just padded this out pretty well.
oh, we haven't even come close to our record.
No, we haven't come to our coaster. So I was
I
going
know,
to say,
but we're
let's
aiming.
bring it
back to
let's
go
bring
back
it
to
back
her.
to Wanda a little bit.
Yeah.
So who do you think they're going to go pick up? Who's the scientist that's going to help?
Blue Marvel.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Who works with Photon,
yeah, that's true.
and it's like you don't want to waste Reed Richards with this.
Yeah,
That's what
it's-
everyone keeps saying. Reed Richards.
No, don't waste Reed Richards. He's too big.
yeah.
And this is the wrong place to bring them in because, like, it's a side note. This isn't like if they do it and I'm wrong, cool. I'll take the L on it. But I don't think it's the time to bring in Reed Richards.
No, I don't either. I mean, because they just announced Fantastic Four, so I can't see them bringing
Yeah.
him in that quick. And watching someone sneeze but not hearing it is weird.
I was trying to be polite. I muted my mic while I sneezed. When it's sub-zero temperatures, it's murder on your allergies.
Yes, yes, it is.
No. I think it's going to be Adam the Blue Marvel or
Yeah.
someone on that level because I think
Well,
it's
because
a
yeah, that's a good call. I couldn't really think of anyone else. Someone else said McCoy Beast, and I'm like, that's no, they're not.
Isn't like no.
Just
she
because-
wouldn't, she wouldn't
just-
bring Spider-Man into it, would she?
Because
Spider-Man's not who she's talking about.
Blue Marvel
I know.
makes more sense because Monica said it's someone she worked with. Marcy said she knew an astrophysicist that would like this.
She meant Jane,
Oh yeah,
right? Like she had like when Marcy, nobody said when Darcy says, "Oh, I know an astrophysicist," I went, "Yeah, Jane Foster," and
Yeah.
nobody picked up on that. And I'm like, "Oh, everyone's so
Oh my
interested in
goodness,
picking
you're
up
right. It is Jane. Oh my god.
That's that she's talking about, yeah. Because who else would she know?
So-
Or Selvig,
because
or
everyone's so focused on who's this mysterious
Correct.
guest going to be. Yeah.
Correct. Like and that or Victor Selvig, whatever Stellan Skarsgård played. She meant one or the other. You know,
yeah, and it's so true too because they're not this. You as Luke Skywalker type cameo is not introducing somebody new anyway.
no,
You know?
because it wouldn't be Luke Skywalker. That's the exact opposite.
Right,
Yeah, you need somebody people are already vested in.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Which means Blue Marvel. It might not be Blue Marvel because
But it's not. Who's to say that's the person though?
Right. No, I think whoever this
yeah.
is going to show up at like the end.
The very end.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the very. That's why I keep leaning toward Magneto more and more every week. Like if I was all about Wolverine, I still think Wolverine would be the best, but Magneto might make the most sense.
Do you think it'd be Fassbender?
It better be if you bring in Magneto. It damn well better be Michael Fassbender.
like you said, you gotta have somebody people are vested in, right? And
Mhm.
he played a damn good Magneto.
Man, first class Nazi hunter scene where
Yeah.
people went, I want a whole movie like this. Like, Fassbender as Magneto is a great call. He still like looks like it, and like, he could play.
Well, I know. And you're
The-
bringing
the-
Ian McKellen is too old. At the,
Yeah.
it's
It
gonna
doesn't
be
work.
longer.
But- well.
that's the thing though. Fassbender's too young. Like they're gonna have to rearrange, like the whole thing of
He's
Magneto.
probably 50.
Well, yeah, but the thing of Magneto being a Holocaust survivor, it's getting a little bit long in the tooth now. It's like they're gonna have to.
He's still a Holocaust survivor in the comics.
I know, but like at this point, you have to be 100.
He's a mutant. How does he age?
Well,
We're-
okay,
we're
so if
watching-
they're pulling that, then fine.
Especially if he's
Yeah.
from a different universe. Like, there's a million ways they can make it work.
We're watching
Yeah.
comics that were created in the 60s about people who can fly and shoot beams out of their eyes. And
I
all
know,
this
but
stuff.
we were just
Let's-
talking about continuity,
But I mean, like, yeah, that's an issue that Marvel does have is like, the whole world outside your window, their continuity is getting longer and it's becoming more and more difficult to play that off. And I get what you're saying. That's why you don't want to call a ton of attention to it. And maybe in the comics, you don't play up the Magneto as a Holocaust survivor thing as often as you want to, unless but you can build that in. He's a mutant. He lives long.
is it Fassbender from the Fox movies comes in as Magneto and he's just out of time as well?
That's true too. And just
It's the
be
same
like,
thing with Pietro, because if he was now in modern time, remember he was that age in the 80s in the
That's
movies.
very true.
So
And
he
we
would have He would
we
have
don't
to be
know.
older now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very true. So you could actually, if you want, okay, let's phantom book here. You could actually pull in and say that he is their parent. It's been out of the comics, but it's a bad move, Marvel. If you're listening, that was a bad move changing that. So you could say he fathered them and then disappeared. They were raised by normal people,
Not
you know,
not the animal people, right?
not
Not
the
the
high.
cow.
But that's actually kind of what happens though in the comics. So you're not like,
Yeah.
because for 2 decades, I believe it was John Byrne that retconned that. I'm not 100% sure. But Wanda and Pietro were not raised by Magneto. So it works in the previously established continuity where you could have them say this is our real father, and it's Magneto.
Yeah.
You know, and that's quite frankly what I think they should do.
They did
Like I
that
said,
in the Fox movies.
what
They made him the father, Quicksilver's father.
did they?
I thought they did.
Well, no, they mentioned it, but it was never
They
confirmed.
never, yeah. It was a quick, it was like a little wink, wink to the crowd.
Okay.
But they never like say it. He's like, "Oh, I know this kid," and he never like, yeah. They never. I do remember that. They
Yeah.
never quite. They danced around it because like,
Yeah. Peter said,
guess-
"Oh, he's my father," but like but when he had the chance to say something at the end of, was it Apocalypse War, he never came out and said, "Hey, Dad,"
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Right.
So they could, and that would be the move, in my opinion, because you could make it work. You
Yeah.
know, I do think that whatever Strucker did unlocked their X gene, and that's how they have the powers.
Right. And I
'Cause
think
it's yeah,
and
with
she's
the Mind
unlocking the
Stone.
X genes with the hex.
I think you could be correct because she might have done that with Monica.
Yeah.
They said Monica's
Yeah.
because actually that's something we didn't cover this week. Is they said Monica's cells are different. She's changing. Da 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 da.
Mhm.
If she goes
So-
through one more time,
Yeah. So she's unlocked. That actually makes perfect sense because if the hex like encompasses the world, if the hex encompasses the world, all she'd be doing was unlocking latent X genes.
Yeah.
So she would literally, it'd be like, no, comma, more mutants.
Yes.
yeah.
That's a bit of a stretch, but yes.
Well, I don't think she's gonna say that, but that'd be like that was me being a dork about it. But I do think if you think about it like that, if you do expand the hex, if they do that, then it could be like a mutant wave, where all of a sudden now you have these mutants.
Right. I
I
mean,
it could
it's
open the door to the others.
yes. Like it does. The hex creates mutants and/or opens up a multiverse or both.
Or both, yeah. Because we
and
don't
then
know how to
Doctor
sign-
Strange, and then it gets explored in Spider-Man 3. There's all this craziness because we know
Mhm.
all these characters are going to be in it, and then Doctor Strange has to come along and fix it.
I can see, and that makes sense, right? Like it makes perfect sense. Well, it doesn't make perfect sense at all. It's actually ridiculous, but like comic book sense, it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Well,
and it segues right into the Multiverse of Madness movie.
Right.
Right.
Well, as it's supposed to. Because my brother's like, if this just ends with the Doctor Strange thing, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm like, well, you're pissed anyway, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because they want you, and he's just like, well, it's just such crap. Like it should stand on its own. I'm like, are you against money? Like, do you not
Well,
understand how they
and
make
that's-
money?
I like.
And it's
Has he
be a good
watched
thing
any of them?
anyway.
Has he watched any of the Marvel movies?
Loves the Marvel movies. And
Like
that's
they
what I'm
all
like,
lead into the next one.
that's the whole idea. I said, this is comics, man. Again, and like I said last week on the show, this show simulates the experience of reading comics better than anything that's ever been done.
Yes.
And because they make you wait a week, it's just like waiting a month for the next issue.
Yep.
And the speculation and what we're doing right now is what people have been doing, what people did in comic shops for 20 years.
You mean it's better
know?
than the Incredible Hulk with all those comic book page wipes that they did?
You know, I give Ang Lee credit for trying something. Ang Lee
So-
had an idea.
And then it looks like we got to bring this up. The last 3 episodes we're going to get double sized.
Yeah, they've got 3 hours left and only 3 episodes left. So
Yes,
Yeah.
it's gonna be an hour.
they said the last 3 episodes will all be an hour long. So
And
then this part of the show will become 2 hours long. Everyone.
Oh, listen.
Yeah.
So here's the question then, because I think of all the trailer I think we've seen all the trailer footage, right?
Yeah.
So,
So
what's
far.
left? I mean,
What-
like
what
this
ha-
thing
what's
is like,
out?
Well, what's next?
No,
for
no.
sitcoms?
There is footage where it looks like it's maybe Modern Family.
Yeah, that's Modern Family where
I
she's
haven't seen
talking.
She's
that.
doing a confessional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Smart. I was wondering where they would go after that because we're running out of like eras and sitcoms to emulate. Modern Family makes sense with 3 episodes. Are there
Oh my
three?
God! I hope, I hope to
You mean
God
two broke
when
girls, right?
when no, no oh, Two Broke Girls.
That would be.
Oh,
That would be
oh, that's got to be
that
next week.
yeah.
Right,
She's a waitress. Oh my God!
right.
But I
In
want
her
when they
original
do
costume from Two Broke Girls.
when
I don't
they
know if they're
do
that tongue in cheek, but it would be great. I'm
when
not
they
Yeah.
do
gonna lie.
Modern Family. When Vision goes to work, it's like The Office.
Yeah.
Because it'd be the same. They're shot the same style.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That pseudo
Exactly.
doc style. Yeah.
Yep.
And they would,
Yep.
and they tend to blend them together.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone told me something else. They said it wasn't just Malcolm Middle. They had some other show that I wasn't terribly familiar with that they leaned into.
Vision is Jim. Wanda as
Pam.
Pam. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something there. There's something there. It would not surprise me if they steered into that. But are there like so Modern Family? What other family like sitcoms are there to steer into? Like, is there something between Malcolm in the Middle?
Firefly.
No.
Not quite.
I wish.
Friends. Friends
It's like
is
family
Friends
sitcoms.
Friends is like the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s.
Well,
Yeah.
like same with
They're
Malcolm in the
already
Middle.
past that.
They hit that. They hit Malcolm Middle. That's late 90s, early. That might be actually the year 2000. But
I
what
thought
else?
Mal-
Like, it was like 99, 2000. I was in college. I remember it was me in college watching it.
the middle, or is that's more
That's more modern. That could be.
2010s.
That could be.
So-
Yeah, they need something though.
Yeah.
Modern Family is a good one. I don't know what else is there. Because I mean, are there any good sitcoms anymore? I don't think sitcoms are.
No, sitcoms
What they
kind of
used to
like
be.
yeah, they're not what they used to be. You know, like because The Office kind of came a little before.
The Office makes sense. The Office and Modern Family, like those, especially like family stuff, that would make sense. I can't. Maybe the last episode they won't do the sitcom thing because
What's the geek one that's out there right now?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah, that would be like.
But that's
close to-
like maybe it depends on how much the kids grow. Actually, if the kids keep growing, if they let them become teenagers in the next couple weeks, it opens it up a little bit.
So then
they're going to have
that
to
makes
because
Vision Sheldon.
yeah,
Could be.
they're going to have to because they're not going to wait 5 years. No, what is it? The kids are 10. They're not going to wait like 10 years to do the Young Avengers.
No, they're gonna do it
So-
right away. Well, here's the thing. Well, that's the thing with the kids is the kids are proven to be in the comics. The kids are an aspect of Wanda's personality, of Wanda's insanity, and then
Right.
they go
She
master
stops paying
pandemonium.
attention to them. They disappear. Right.
Right,
Hmm.
but they don't really. They become other kids. Like they like reincarnate. So I wonder if they do that here.
Hmm.
If Tommy and Billy, because Tommy and Billy don't know their brothers till like 4 or 5 issues into New Avengers, and they're like, "Holy gee!" Like, and then they figured out, and then they go on the quest to find the Scarlet Witch, and it's great comics.
Oh, okay. So here we go.
You got a spoiler?
No. Shows. So Malcolm in the Middle, that 70s show. According to Jim, King of Queens, How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother might be a good one.
Yeah, but they're family though. They got a family. That's the whole thing is the family dynamic. That's been they need to have that.
which wasn't really a
Grounded for
trope.
Life. Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah,
That's not it. Yeah, it's not a family one. My Wife and Kids.
I didn't even remember that one.
That's,
Yeah, like I said, the family show.
one of the Waynes is
Oh yeah. Damon Wayans show. I do remember.
Arrested Development.
It's like the same style though, as like it's a doc style.
That the family show wasn't. It's hasn't been in trope for a little bit now, right?
Well, Modern Family.
Everybody loves
Well,
Raymond.
Modern Family, but that's about it.
Everybody loves Raymond. Maybe.
Uh,
Maybe.
They could bring what's her face back to be the mother across the street, but not the mother, but the same type of character.
Well,
Uh,
I don't know.
My Name is Earl. Yeah, these are all the early 2000s
Yeah,
sitcoms.
there's.
I mean, it doesn't.
trying to
it-
think of like
2.5 Men. That's not. Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be funny.
it just
but-
it doesn't quite have the same. Doesn't quite have the same punch. Like it's got to be that family.
Because you know what it.
dynamic.
Because you know what it was. Do you know what
Modern
the early-
Family works.
You know what? Early 2000s. You got Family Guy, hit, and the Simpsons was like there was a block where it was like
Mhm.
the animated stuff was real big again.
Well,
So
Malcolm in the Middle is very much like Family Guy. Like their joke, their humor structure was very similar with like the bizarre cutaways and stuff like that.
yeah,
Remember that time that such and such, and they'll do that the whip pan,
yes,
which they did that in this week's episode. So I'm trying to think what was next. Like Modern Family works perfectly in that, but I can't think of anything else.
no.
You
But
know,
then again, the next episode might not be in the bubble again.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's true. I mean, like, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. I think when the show is done, I'm going to give it another watch to see what did I miss. You
right.
know,
Could we pick up on anything? Right.
yeah, it's a great show, man. It's like I like that it keeps us guessing, and we're not reacting. Like we're very proactive with this show. So
Yeah.
like we think about what else. Like what is in the gutter? Like you talk about comic stories being told within the gutters. Like we're thinking about what is in the gutters on this show, and that's very unique. Like there's not many TV shows that can do that.
Mm.
I love it.
So I'm still convinced that somebody else, like when she started talking to Pietro at towards the end, and he says like, I'm your bro, tell me, and she can't remember how all this started, and all she remembered was darkness. Like
Mhm.
she's not dead though, so
No, she's being manipulated though. Like
Yeah.
someone's pulling her strings.
so
Just
she's
don't know who.
right, but she's wired up somewhere, or
Yeah.
or hypnotized. Somebody's in her head.
Somebody's in her head. That's for
Right.
sure. She's not like wired up. She's doing all this stuff.
No, I think
mean-
it's funny because I do think everyone who goes down the wired up,
The Matrix style type thing.
yeah, like they're the people that still want everything to be based in science, and it's like they gave us
Yeah, and
Doctor
this is-
Strange.
and
Get
this
over
is
it
magic,
already.
Yeah,
I mean,
Wanda's
what-
magic.
We're still talking like Nightmare's still a candidate, right?
Uh-huh.
We're bouncing between Nightmare and Mephisto. Like,
Yeah,
Someone did a.
because who else is going to be able to control her?
I
right?
just saw. Oh god, I forgot to. I was going to include it. I forgot. I just saw a rendering someone did on what a live action Mephisto. Like it was an actual Marvel artist, and I can't remember who it was. Did a rendering on what a live action Mephisto might look like, and it was kind of cool and creepy. So it's
you
like
can't bring that up and not bring it to the table.
I'm sorry, I forgot it. I will find the picture and I will put it on our social media. When
See it on
this goes
Twitter?
up. I think I saw it on Facebook.
Hmm.
And it was an article, and I can't remember if it was like comicbook.com or something that had it.
I gotta look. Now I gotta look.
So yeah. Oh man, this is, and it's hour long next week, boys. So
Yeah,
I think
I see a
we're
comicbook.com thing where they're trying to say that Pietro, the guy like Pietro's actually Mephisto. There's a
well,
rendering. It's not bad. I think I
Yeah.
know. I think that's what you're talking about, Dave. And
okay.
someone's like, as Evan Peters as Mephisto. That's possible, by the way.
Mephisto is Mephisto a multiversal entity? Is he
Yes.
like
Yeah.
so like there's one of him for the multiverse, right?
Yes, there is one devil. Like, well, no, okay, here's the thing. Marvel's very complicated with the devil. Like, there are multiple versions of like every level of hell has its own devil. And no
Oh
one is
right. There's like
actually the devil.
Hela and him and like other.
And you also
yeah.
have there's a Beelzebub, the Master Pandemonium was one. Satan, like the son of Satan, like Mephisto was not his father.
Mhm.
Like, so
Uh-huh.
there's lots of different. What are you doing, Dave?
Nothing. Okay, keep
You just-
going.
Oh, you're gonna play a song for us?
No, just go. Just keep going.
Oh, you just pulled out a guitar, and I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
This
Sorry.
is not in
This
the
is-
notes, Dave.
I know it's not in the notes. I don't know what to do. I can't figure.
I just picked up my guitar. That's all.
I can't function now.
Yeah. but given
Broke the rhythm.
But given that there's
I
still
see
only
the
one
Matrix.
there's still only one Mephisto for Earth 616, Earth 617, Earth 618, right? Like in
There's
DC,
only
in
one
DC,
Mephisto.
there's only one Lucifer.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly. It's the same concept.
all right, so then he would like if that were him, then he
Theoretically,
could
yeah.
he could have messed up and wore Pietro's face from a different universe. by
It's
accident.
entirely possible, or did it just to or he's just doing it to do it. And quite frankly, I've really warmed up to the idea of Evan Peters sticking around, looking like her brother, and
Mm.
being the devil. Like, I kind of like that idea. The more I think about it, you know,
Well, you're
someone's
the
like, I think
devil.
so. Like Kevin Smith's like, it's going to be kind of cheap if they just bring the devil out of nowhere. Like, it's like I know though the fans are excited about it, but it's really not the show they're setting up. And part of me went like, yeah, kind of, you know, because there's not a lot of religious allegories in it, you know. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I heard his argument and I went, yeah, okay, I see it. I see where you're coming from.
but a
Like,
lot of the stories I've read with Mephisto, there aren't a lot of
Yeah, they
you
don't.
religious
are
They don't rely on.
100% right.
They don't rely on religion in Marvel so much as
No.
DC does when they
That's
when they
true.
go into Vertigo stuff.
That's very, very true. Even even DC's main roster, mainline stuff can be a little bit more in that, like, yeah, your Zariels and whatnot and stuff can
Right.
be a little bit more like that, more so than Marvel. So yeah, you're not wrong, because they've always played Mephisto more as an entity who looks a lot like the devil, more
Right.
so
right.
than actually being the devil.
I mean,
Until that
let's
one
let's.
He's not the one below all.
There's not a bunch
That's
of
what-
religious imagery in One More Day, so it's just like,
There's none. They said there
yeah.
is a bunch of it in Loki though.
Well, maybe Mephisto plays a role in that.
That's another rumor that's floating around, is that this show introduces Mephisto and Loki plays more of a role in it. Like, it plays more of a role in Loki, because there is some, in some of the clips they've seen and some of the stills, there is some religious imagery floating around in it. So I mean, like, far be it from Marvel to set the table and then, you know, throw a
To
curveball at
not
us.
deliver, exactly.
Right. So I mean, like, there's a lot going on here, man.
Oh,
There's a
hey.
lot going on.
The guy who was dressed, was it? No, it wasn't Herb.
It was
Who
Herb.
no, Herb. Yeah. He dressed
He
as
was Frankenstein.
right? Yeah. So he still knows exactly what's going on. Like,
I don't know what's going on. There's a guitar.
I know. He's not controlled at all, though. He's not.
We don't-
He looks.
We don't know Herb's deal.
Yeah, like he.
Herb?
Do you think he's a plant from the what's his face? Who's like he's really starting to piss me off. That guy.
Herb and Agatha are on the same team.
Are you sure about that?
Remember, they were talking to each other and they like,
Yeah.
this is totally throwing me off.
Yeah. It's not. It
Anyway.
did not work. But directed I thought he might be a plant with Tyler Hayward. Hayward's
possible.
turning out to be just.
He's a bad guy. They want Vision for the weapon. Like, Scarlet, like, it's clear. What's happened is clear. Is Scarlet Witch took him because they were going to make him a weapon.
Oh, I think the bad guy. We're not going to see it. Well, we're seeing it, but it's not going to be like what people are expecting, right? Like, they're expecting Mephisto to show up and say,
Yeah,
he just was whatever. I think, yeah, he's in the other guy. God, my mind just went blank.
Hayward.
Yeah, Hayward is so involved with this. In fact, they said if you look at the files that Marcy's looking through,
Darcy.
Why do I keep calling her Marcy?
I don't know. It's Kat
Um,
Denning. She'd call herself Marcy. So
that, like, there's a one of the names in there is related to the Weapon X program.
that's possible.
So from the comics, yes.
Mhm.
And it was just like, okay, so that's one of the Easter eggs in that episode, and it's just like, like, obviously he's interested in living weapons. So I think this was all set up. I think this was all set up so she would bring Vision back from the dead so they could use him.
yeah, maybe.
And it just took a life of its own they weren't expecting.
There's some.
There's really something else going on with him, though. Like, I mean, yeah, you might be onto something. I'm not sure. It's just, but there's something we haven't been privy to yet that's going on with him.
Oh yeah,
like he's got some agenda we haven't quite seen yet. Because he was like,
so,
when Vision was coming out, he didn't seem surprised at all. And
he didn't.
Yeah, and he said, oh, he must really want to help those people. It's like, okay. So, and that would play into what you were saying about was it the witch? Playing into Vision, like you're gonna help us, right?
Yeah.
So
I think she's totally playing him. I think they're all in the same. I don't know. Something's up with Hayward.
I don't see
He's-
Agatha Harkness working with Hayward, right?
unless
Like she's on her own.
unless there's a lot of there's a ton of theories floating around about him. Like this one on CBR says he's Marvel's new William Stryker.
Mm-hmm. That ties into the Weapon X stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, Stryker was an X-Men universe thing. In the comics,
Right.
William Stryker is just a minister. Like he's an evil minister. So there's but that could be, but it's easy to make it that dude, you know? I don't know, man. There's a lot going on. I keep saying that. Like it's just there's so much we don't know with 3 episodes to go. I'm really impressed they've kept so much off the table. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Tom Holland isn't on the crew, so.
Oh, well, we got a story about him. It's coming up too. So, on that note, I think that's enough of WandaVision. Yeah, we definitely broke a record this week. So, we're gonna take a short little musical interlude.
What is happening?
Our first commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Don't make me break out the ABBA.
Oh, do it. Anyway. All right. We are back. I broke JD's brain with pulling a guitar out.
Kind of broke me too, but.
So now, to bring him back to reality, we'll do a little social media madness.
Slim Shady, back to reality. Back to reality.
So the first thing I have to bring up. First thing I have to bring up, guys, this is something that's disturbing me greatly, and we have to discuss this.
Okay, it's gonna be something ludicrous, isn't it?
We've been discussing WandaVision in great lengths, and are we being ableist? According to Teak Lore on over on Twitter.
It's Media Madness. No wonder. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Canceled it. It's ableist to mention Vision. I have a character named Vision. When there's those that are blind, it's a hate fest. So, guys, are we being ableist by talking about a character named Vision when there's blind people in the world?
I think we're being ableist by talking about this guy's post.
It's a joke.
It's not.
I replied with a gif like, "That's a joke, right?" And they never replied after that. So
this dude follow us?
I would imagine, or maybe they followed the WandaVision tag. Hold on, let's see. No, they follow us.
Okay, so whatever. I'm a little. I don't.
It's called humor, guys. Come on.
Is that what that tastes like? I don't understand.
All right. All right. Fine. We'll move on. I thought it was funny. I don't know. It struck my funny bone. That's why I brought it up.
Okay.
Of course, we talked about Keanu Reeves being offered the role of Kraven. It has been reported that he has turned it down.
Good, because
thank God.
right for
that was official. I didn't bring that article in, but
go back to making John Wick, man. You'll have all of my money. I just, Kraven was just. You don't want to. You just don't want to hang your hat on a character whose main defining.
Well, that's one of the things we talked about. Like, do we even need a Kraven movie?
No, we do not.
The something cast said, do we need a Kraven movie? Yes, but only one, because it's not Fearful Symmetry. It's not worth it doing.
Yeah, but you need to set them up. Like, in order for Fearful Symmetry, Kraven's last second, you want to call it. But if you got to make that work, you have to set him up. Spider-Man would work better as a TV show. Like, that's what I want them to announce. I want a Spider-Man TV show on Disney Plus. Let's make that happen.
Will Sony allow that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, at this rate, the mouse will buy Sony soon. So,
in regards to do we need a Kraven movie, the Doomsday podcast said yes. Next question.
No.
Good
talk.
Exactly. I didn't realize there were so many people who wanted.
Hmm,
Stone Rhino
fair
Nano
enough.
said, I really think he would fit more as Chameleon and having someone like Momoa play Craven. Like, and I get that. Like a big guy to
Momoa's Craven is not bad.
yes.
Wasting Keanu Reeves on freaking the Chameleon is terrible. The Chameleon.
Wait. Who's the guy? Butcher from The Boys. He'd make a good Craven.
Carl Urban?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah. Am I Gel Creator? I can't. I have no idea what your name is.
Part of my favorite thing of this show is watching Dave trying to decipher people's Twitter tags.
He puts so much work into it too.
I know.
It's like-
It'd be like, everyone would be up like this dude says.
uh, insulting offer, in my opinion. It's AMICHAELCREITER. I just
M-O-U-S-E.
yeah.
so apparently Keanu should have turned it down because it's an insulting offer. I don't get that.
I don't know. Money is not this. I'm sure they're willing to pay Keanu Reeves quite a bit of money.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's far from insulting.
And Geek to Me Radio said
Michael Crater. That's the guy's name.
Oh, Michael Crater. That makes sense now. Um, he wasn't my first choice, but I can see him in the role. As far as the character of Craven, I would love to see him pop up in a live-action MCU film.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, you got to set him up first. You can't just do Craven's Last Hunt because it
doesn't
would
make sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
And then we had a while ago we talked about the rumor Chris Evans was returning as Captain America, and Paul E over on Twitter said, "I heard he has prostate issues nowadays. Time travel might have accelerated them."
I thought this was a Tim Jones joke. I really did.
I know. I don't have a good Tim Jones joke this week, so I had to
really
pull one.
I had to double check that one. I'm like, that's not Tim.
Sorry, Tim. We don't have one for you this week.
Sour grapes, everyone. Sorry.
Yes. And available in great comic newspapers across the country. And then the last one surprised me. Jason Burgos, he's at Cheap Seats Chat over on the Twitters. Of course, we talked about the possibility of a Wakanda TV series brought to us by Ryan Coogler. And he said, I'm actually meh about it. It's like the Batman-less Gotham show. Doesn't do it for me. I mean, I get his point, but
I can't argue. Like, he's not wrong. Like, they have we talked about this last time too. They have an uphill battle without without Chadwick Boseman. I mean, there's interesting characters there. I trust Coogler, but it's definitely a risk. I can't argue with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see a TV show being an opportunity to highlight another character, to bring them to the forefront, and make them more of the hero of Wakanda, to kind of replace Black Panther. But that's just
Yeah.
that's just my thought. And that is it for Social Media Madness week. This guys, I kept it short because I knew we would go long on Wanda again.
Oh, thank God, because I'm almost out of Woodford Reserve here.
So, if you would like to be part of Social Media Madness and follow us on Twitter and all that good stuff, here's our good friend D Squared to tell you how.
Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you're following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the social media links for the show at the top of the page. While you're there, check out previous episodes of the podcast as well as other great content. And check the site often because we are posting great comic book reviews as well as other comic book and movie content every day. Make sure you are following us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. Simply follow them at @star_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prism Power Podcast, Colt 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for GW All-Stars, you will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
Thank you for that, Don. Don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. Yes, and I think he's got a couple reviews coming up on the website too. So, all right. On that note, I know we just did one. No musical interlude this time because I don't want to break JD anymore. We're going to take our next commercial break, and we'll be right back.
I can't handle it. I can't.
All right, boys and girls, we are back. And this first article, I'm going to let JD take the reins.
Oh, cool. I love the reins. So today, Rich Johnston, the Bleeding Cool rumor monger, his site, this is what Rich does. Sometimes he's right. Oftentimes he, not really, but he's just, he definitely has his sources. So I don't want to poop on Rich too much because he does
Right.
come out with it. Like, so today he kind of said that there is scuttlebutt in the Warner Media office that they are maybe looking to not shutter DC, but not take on the financial burden of making comics themselves. And in this article, Rich says that offers were made by Marvel and I believe IDW, but they weren't willing to pay. And I guess they approached Random House was willing, but it didn't quite work out with Penguin Random House. And now they're saying that a consortium of very rich people are offering to have the publishing rights to the characters. It would still be an IP farm for Marvel, or for Warner. They'd still be under the Warner banner, but
Right.
they would not operate DC Comics on their own.
If they start to fragment and sell, like if
No,
they
it
do
would
what
be
Marvel
wholesale.
did,
No, it'd be
yeah,
wholesale.
okay, because
It would be wholesale.
hopefully they've learned the lesson from what Marvel had to do
There's
back
too
in the
much-
day.
Well, here's the thing. I have lots of thoughts on this. The first time I read this, I thought, okay, now Rich, to be honest, he says that DC right now is making money. They've shuttered a lot of expenses and they're going a lot more digital first. They're not printing a lot. And as of right now, DC is making money, but it all kind of hinges on what Infinite Frontier is going to be.
Yeah. They laid off all those people too.
They did laid off a ton of people, but they've cut their costs and they're not printing as much. So there's thought right now that DC Comics is the least of Time Warner's or Time Warner. How old am I? Warner Media's concern.
Which is only their fault, really. It
yeah,
could have been a huge concern.
They blamed Diane Nelson's move, like moving the company from New York to LA. They said this was what really spiraled DC spending out of control. And while it allowed them to be part of the easier part of the Marvel, I keep saying Marvel, easier part of the Warner universe, like they were able to do stuff with them easier because they were, all in the same building. At the same time, it's like, man, it costs a lot to do all that.
It's way more expensive over there too.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said they had expensive property in New York and traded for very expensive property in Southern California.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a great line. Yeah, go ahead, Dave. What do you think about this? I have thoughts.
Well, here's the thing. So, the Geek World All Stars were talking about this in our chat, and I was like, oh, this could be interesting, and they were like, oh, well, what about CrossGen and Valiant and Malibu? And it's just like, yeah, but that's different. There were new companies with new properties they were trying to launch. It wasn't like this is, and Malibu's still around. Anyway,
Malibu's part of Marvel.
Yes.
Bought them.
Yes. This is, it's still the DC. It's still Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. It's not like new characters. It's characters that have been around for a really long time, and they're like, oh yeah, but it's fans running it. It's like, okay, what's to say a fan doesn't have a good idea for a story or knows how to hire the right people to write the right stories that fans want? Like, I think this is a great idea. I honestly do. I think it's going to help the company, but
It's rumor right now.
yeah,
Here's my thought too: is like if they're going to do this, it's going to have to be somebody that Jim Lee trusts,
yes,
right? Because you don't want to put your property, these valuable billion-dollar properties in the hands of idiots, quite frankly, and that's possible. So I mean, like, part of me is like, I wonder if like a Jim Shooter came out of nowhere to like spearhead this thing, which is what you. I don't want to not saying Jim Shooter specifically, but
we're idiots. Don't give it to us.
give it to me. I don't want to. No, but I mean, like, I don't know if this is reality because, like, I think it's a giant risk because, like, a buddy of mine, my buddy Jeremy Feinstone, who we were talking about last week, he got caught in the crossfire of our tweets last week. He was like, what happens if they get into a Frank Miller Holy Terror situation? Without those layers and layers of corporate influence that Warner provides, they published something like, remember when Batman peed himself and people lost their mind? Or like when what was the other the Batman dick thing that people freaked out about?
Yeah.
Like with less edit, like,
So
it
I
could
think
be worse.
I think how you handle that, because you said Warner still owns the characters. This is licensing them out for the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Is how they're handling it. Well, when you license a character out, you can have a set of rules
You would have to, and that's what I said. It would
attached
have
to the character, and it's like you can have on there. Batman can't pee himself.
like, and that's the thing is you would have to have editors. So that's the thing is you would have to have editors anyway. Like, you would have to have a comics infrastructure in place. Like, you need all those same people, right? And I don't know how much sense. I don't know how much sense it really makes. Because I mean, like, the people that are working on these comics now are fans. Like, you don't get into comics business if you don't love comics. Jim Lee loves comics.
Yeah.
I I think this is a lot of talk. Jimmy Palmiotti, I thought it was all BS. Jimmy Palmiotti went on Twitter today and says, I've heard these rumors. There's a lot of talk to this. So I
Yeah.
do think that a bunch of rich people approached Warner and said, why don't we have it? But I don't know if it's gonna happen. If Infinite Frontier fails, maybe something happens. Maybe not with these guys, but maybe we see something. Because I could totally see Warner being like, why do we bother with these comics? They don't make us, like, the actual publishing doesn't really do anything for us. Whereas they could actually make money off people licensing the characters.
Yeah. But again, I think I don't know. I kind of feel like eventually, if the books die, then I think other things can die as well.
They won't die. No, they won't die. They're IP farms. There's too much value in the intellectual property, and you have to keep that stuff to keep. You have to print comics to keep these copyrights going. Like, you need them. They need to
not
create
just the copyrights. Not just the copyrights. So they need these things to. They need the comics in order to keep the movies and all the rest.
I don't know if they need
without the comics, the drug, you're not going to get the big buys later into the movies and stuff.
No, not necessarily, because most people discover these characters through ancillary properties that are not comics.
I think the idea of going to all prestige format also works too. Like, instead of trying to keep doing monthly books,
that's probably what's going to happen. Like, where you're going to have more
the
issues by digital as opposed to printed.
Not to derail the conversation.
Derail. That's what we do.
John, to me, your video is frozen.
John did freeze for a second.
Oh,
John's video is definitely frozen.
I'm frozen.
You are frozen.
Do I have a goofy look? Do I have a goofy look on my face?
No. Let it go. Oh, not that kind of frozen. Yeah, your video ain't moving though. Why don't you leave? Why don't you leave and come back? Why don't you leave?
I'd come back.
Why don't I leave? I will.
Please come back, John.
Yeah, I'll
Please.
be back. It's go on. I'll be back. Goodbye, cruel world.
We'll talk about him while he's gone.
We'll keep this up. No, I don't understand. Like, I think it's really risky to put to put Batman and Superman in the hands of people that you don't control. So there's got to be a lot of layers to these things. If Jim Lee still had Wildstorm, and you could just say, okay, Jim, you and your Wildstorm guys are now in charge of all this stuff. It's really just DC Comics, you know?
Okay, this is getting weird.
Yeah, now we're gonna have 2 John O'Grady's. I didn't expect that.
No, I
Well,
didn't.
hey, two's better than one, right?
It's gonna make editing the video this week really interesting.
Do you see yourself twice?
No,
Wow.
I mean, I see another me, but I don't see my. I don't
Oh,
see
yeah.
Logan.
There we go. Now
Just go
JD's on the
figure.
top.
There can be only one.
I like him. I like it on top.
Now-
That was not what I meant.
Now JD's my right hand man. Sorry, John. Sorry, you've been demoted.
That's cool.
All right, that's it. I'm done.
That sound effect was perfect, man. Perfect.
It works
That's
for an
what, I
audio
saw.
podcast.
What sound effect?
No, we heard that. Let's saying that because it was right there when it sounded
Yep.
great. It sounded great.
Ah,
Anyways,
so-
I don't know, man. I think we need to see where this goes. There might be smoke to this fire. It might just be one of those, talk happens in offices.
I am really sad to see it get to this point, though. I mean, yeah, I know it's like the format that comics have had for the last 80 years is not something that is really sustainable. Like if they want to keep things like continuity and stuff, but it's still sad to see it pass, and again, the digital age, claims another victim.
No, it's
Yeah.
not victim. It's just a reshuffling of like how you do things. And
Yeah.
businesses change we have to abandon what worked in the 20th century because it's not the
Right.
20th
Yeah,
century.
I know. I know it has to change. It's still kind of like, this is something that happens to old people.
all right.
We
I get
become
it.
maudlin and
Yeah.
just
No, I think we need to try something different because what was big then is not working. TV is figuring. We talked about it last week with the streaming stuff. TV right now, everyone's buying in hopes of being relevant in a decade, right? 5 years to a decade.
Yes.
Publishing has to change, and publishing is slow to change. Like the big publishers are struggling. The independents, guys like me, are starting to do better because we need to cast, again, like we talked about earlier, casting smaller nets. Comics is working on an independent level, but is it working where these big corporations need it to? And they haven't figured out how to really do it yet.
maybe it doesn't work as a big conglomerate operation now, right?
But I mean, they have to figure it out because these properties have too much value in them. Right. So they have their financial interests tied up. Like, look at we just spent 45 minutes talking about WandaVision.
Right. Marvel's figured it out, of course. I mean,
But they also have, but that's the thing too, is you have a proactive company like Disney behind you.
yeah.
Like Disney is much better at playing these things up. And Disney did that
yeah.
a decade ago. Disney spent a lot of money a decade ago.
I think
And it's all worked.
we all agree Warner Brothers doesn't know what to do with DC, and they never have. And in fact,
grouping
speaking
them
of
in tighter has made it worse.
Yeah.
You know?
and speaking of things that are sad and don't work from DC, we got our final trailer for the Snyder Cut.
Oh
How
my
many trailers
God.
are we gonna watch? I feel like I've seen like 20. People are like, oh, this trailer for the Snyder Cut's out. I'm like, haven't I seen 3 of them already?
Well, this is why you've got 4 hours of movie.
But
now.
I think we got our final. We get to see our final versions of Steppenwolf and
Dark Side.
Darkseid.
and him, the Joker.
you know what? Oh my God! Yeah, we'll get to that. So first off, like, there have been pictures and there have been rumors. I don't think you saw him in the costume in the stuff they initially released, but okay, definitely the black costume.
Oh yeah.
It confirmed 100%, and it looks like they recreate the scene from Man of Steel when he goes to fly. So, are they going now more with the comic story of Superman coming back, where he was in the Fortress of Solitude and a regeneration thing, and came back to life, as opposed to the Justice League bringing him back to life.
I think that's what we're gonna do. I don't know. I think it's gonna be something close to that, because they did wanted the black suit. They are paying homage to the Return of Superman story. I do think it'll be something a little closer to that. Details are sketchy.
Can I just say though, watching that trailer makes me feel less likely that I'm going to like anything about it.
Me too.
It reads like one man's ego trip.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
Wait,
it's
no,
not
Bendis-
giving you stuff.
Bendis didn't do this.
I know but it feels like you watch a trailer for like Avengers and it's like, look at all the cool things that we're going to give you. You watch this trailer and it's like, look how cool I am and how edgy I am.
It does.
No,
feel
that's
like
it.
that.
It's the edgy thing. It's just
It's very self-indulgent, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's it.
it's got the music and everything. Like he cuts, and I've said this about Zack Snyder 100 times. He cuts a hell of a trailer. Like I know a bunch of people. There are people excited for this movie. There are people that really like Zack Snyder's take on this stuff. It's not us, and I mean, it's good for HBO. I get why they're doing this. They need to sell subscriptions. I think they thought this was going to be easier than it turned out to be. Because you notice they're like, this is pretty much it. This is Zack Snyder's swan song in the DC universe. So they don't want anything with him going further, but they had this and they needed a hook, and I get it. All makes sense.
That being said,
Yeah.
Like there's just nothing. I mean, it's the same movie. Like, yes, it's different stuff, but it's still the same movie.
I mean, and obviously we're getting a stretched out version of that dream sequence of the future
that I didn't like to begin with. Like, yeah.
And
I mean, at least Joss Whedon put a little.
So,
I mean, okay, given all the crap that's going on with Joss Whedon,
Joss Whedon had a bad week. Let's be real.
Yeah. But even given that, at least he and as bad as the integration of his idea and Zack Snyder's was, he still gave it just a bit more humanity.
Well, we're making judgments based on a movie we haven't seen yet. But I agree. I just on what I'm seeing, I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think that's wrong, but it's hard to make that judgment yet because we haven't seen the movie.
I feel like it's going to be preachy, and these guys are, these heroes are going to be acting like other humans don't exist. They're like they're on this.
So I tweet
basically in Olympus looking down on everybody.
But that's also Grant Morrison's take on it too. And that's kind of what the DC universe is the gods among men. But at the same time, like I agree with you. Like when you lose that human touch of it, you lose. And Zack Snyder's not interested in like the humanity of superheroes. He just isn't.
He's looking for his moments in time, right?
He is
for that cool moment. Scene.
He wants moments. He's all about creating moments. He's a television commercial director. This is what he is. I tweeted this out yesterday. I said, if mainstream comics become The Boys, what function does The Boys have? Yeah. Right. And I think this happens a lot. It's the same with Watchmen. If everything is Watchmen, then what is Watchmen real? Then what is the purpose of Watchmen? And this is, Alan Moore is right, is we need less of this. And Marvel doesn't do this. And there's people that don't like that Marvel is like fun. Like they want these superheroes to be like more serious. And I'm not opposed to a serious story, because then like the Avengers stuff is pretty serious.
But that's the thing. Marvel is serious when it counts.
Yeah,
but then it still shows you that these are human beings, not just like superheroes.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And I don't.
And it makes you more invested.
Yes, and that's what's so funny is like we got that from the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yes,
they hit the tone perfectly.
And the thing is, like when you have the lighter tone for the majority of what you're doing, when the end of Infinity War comes, it hits you like a gut punch, because you weren't being drugged down through the whole thing. You get to the end and it's like, okay, half of the world's gone now, half the universe is gone, and it's like, boom, that hurts because it's an emotional impact.
Writer talk here. That comes from characters, from being invested in a character.
Right.
And when you have, and the part of being a character that's important is that you have to feel for them. They have to be relatable. They have to be someone you can feel them. Right. And oftentimes because Zack Snyder's almost like wanting to create this stuff almost like the Arnold superheroes of the 80s. Like we like that because we like those things, not because they're star vehicles, right, for Arnold
Right.
Schwarzenegger to portray this larger than life persona. Like, I forget his names in Commando and Raw Deal and like Predator. They don't matter. It's Arnold, right? And
Right.
it's not about character. It's about creating moments, and that worked. Marvel went the opposite route and got us invested in these characters. And the lighter moments help build characters. And when
Yeah.
you build characters, you get investment. And that's a
Yeah.
different method of storytelling. But when you're dealing with superheroes, I am of the mind that you need these character moments, because without them, they don't matter, right? And everything is just a bunch of stuff that happens. Like busting out Darkseid in the first Justice League movie is a bad idea. I didn't love using Steppenwolf the first time around, but I got like, well, at least they didn't give us Darkseid. And now they're like, here's Darkseid, here's Granny Goodness, looks like Elizabeth Warren. Here's, she did. I assume that was Glorious Godfrey behind him. Like, here's Steppenwolf with all his needles. Like, it's just checking boxes. That's what I feel like. I'm like, oh, here's Flash and Iris. Check. Here's Flash with his dad in prison. Check. Here's Alfred with Superman. Check.
Yeah.
Here's the Joker.
Here's the Joker.
Oh,
check.
God.
And it's nothing like I don't feel connected to any of
Joker
it.
too.
And again, it's hard to say because we haven't seen the movie yet, but we have seen the movie. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's easier to pass judgment on this thing I haven't seen because,
Yeah,
And then-
it's pretty easy to go through the movie that we've seen, and we know which parts Joss Whedon wrote. I mean, it's pretty obvious
The
because
talking parts.
his dialogue is very, very
it's unmistakable. It's
yeah.
Joss Whedon speak when you say it.
So we, like you said, we've already seen it, and we know what it's we know, like if you just take out Joss Whedon's part and add more of what's left, it was it's all perfect. It's all in one scene. The scene of the flood and Superman sitting there looking down at the people on the roof. That's all it is. That's the whole movie right there.
So, and that's another I want to get at too, is the hype they tried to build around a trailer. Like they would tweet a little tease, and it's like in 3 days, and another little tease in 2 days, and I'm like, no one cares that much at this point. But then, like,
there's people that do.
And then I see like all these people making a big deal about the return of the Joker, and I'm like, first off,
Leto's Joker?
I was going to say, first off, it's Leto's Joker that no one really liked. Second, he's only in that one scene. That's it. The whole entire movie, that's it. He's in that one stupid scene to deliver. He's going to have some kind of short conversation with Batman that ties the morality of what's going on together. If it's written well, anyway. And then that's it. And then it might not even really be Joker because it's a dream. And that's another thing. It's like, wait, you gave us Joker, but you took away all his tattoos that you gave him. Well, I guess he didn't.
He looks identical to Heath Ledger's Joker now.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
He's
now you're trying to copy Heath Ledger.
It's the same. At least
He looks like
Heath
Ledger. He looks like Heath Ledger's Joker after a bad day. I mean,
it's the same. It's the sloppy face. It's the sloppy lips. It's the dark eyes.
Well, that was the candy that was shoved into his face by Lex Luthor.
But at least the Suicide Squad Leto Joker had a look. Like, I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it, but I got what they were doing. They were creating something different.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, people liked Ledger better. Let's make him look like Ledger.
Yeah.
And that's like
triangulation. I mean,
but again, it's like Joker. Check. Got the Joker
check.
in there.
Yeah.
I don't like it, man. I feel like this is very hollow.
Yeah.
Are we gonna watch this live? Because it will be hysterical. It's going to be a riff track. It's literally going to be a riff track.
Yeah, I have to figure out how to do it, but yeah, it's going to happen. All right. Yeah, I think that's enough on this. Okay, moving on. We talked about Warner Brothers, HBO Max needing this. The other article that JD brought to us this week. I don't know if you're allowed to. I don't know if
John, you might have to. John, you'll have to mute for the next 5 minutes because this is directly involving something you're close to.
Could NBCUniversal and Warner Media team up against Disney Plus?
Did you read? I mean, like this got big on the wrestling circle because this came out like days after they signed that big deal with WWE, where Comcast was really trying to get in with HBO Max to create
Right,
like.
and they even mentioned
You're right. I can't comment on this.
That's what I'm saying.
And they
I was
even
I wasn't kidding.
I literally
they,
can't.
they even mentioned how Comcast tried to buy Fox before out from under Disney. So it's like this is believable that they're
Because they know they don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
they know this is why they spend all that money with WWE. This is why, because Peacock knows and they know they don't have the goods to really
Yeah.
compete.
Do, 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 do.
And they can't compete with Disney. Really, like
and this goes back to like, I mean, we've talked about the streaming wars for so long that like it's interesting that even the big guys are like, yeah, no, we can't do this on our own. We have to team up. And like, so is it going to be NBO NBO Max? So yeah,
like
I don't know.
they'll come up with something, but it's like, is this what like
Is
this
it even
has to be
worth
what
it?
it is.
I mean, when you're already one of the biggest media companies in the country, like, do you need a streaming service?
Yes, 100%. This is where we're going. Terrestrial cable is going to die. It is in the next 15 years. Where it's not going to be really a thing. Like we're going to
Not
stream.
15, a little bit longer, but yeah, it is like. God, I can't say anything.
I know, you know.
Well, look. I mean,
I'm-
all I know is when I worked a TV guide back in the early 2000s, they talked about the death of traditional TV back then. And I mean, some of the stuff that they talked about has come to pass. On demand changed a lot. Now the streaming services, Netflix and all, has changed so much, but it's still like broadcast TV is still held on 21 years later after they said that it was going to die soon.
Broadcast TV has advantages that cable really doesn't, though. Is that broadcast TV at the end of the day really doesn't cost you? It doesn't cost you any money, right? You can install.
Oh yeah, I know, but I meant just traditional TV in general. Period.
No, I don't think traditional TV is gonna. We're still gonna consume TV. It's just gonna be how, right? Like cable changed terrestrial TV. Like this is what the future. This is the present. These streaming services are the present. Like on demand, what you want to watch when you want to watch it. But there's still value in live TV, right? Sports. You're never gonna fight sports, right? That's gonna be
no, right. But I'm saying like. But we're going to eventually get to the point where, like, why have an NBC that live streams when you can just have an app and then the news can still be produced and sent out at 6 o'clock, but you just go to the app and watch it. You don't
depends
go
on
to channel
it depends
6.
on who owns the content. That's the
right.
What we're fighting over now is content. Where
Yes.
the transmission is going to be, it's already digital. It's just going to be a matter of where it lands.
Correct.
But right now, it's all going to be content, and who's the last person or the last number of companies standing with the most with the needed amount of content to be viable.
I mean, there's also the other factor that people don't talk about when they're like, "Oh, it's going to die in 5 years," is what I like to call the old people factor. Like the people that are just going to be like, "I just turned cable on and watch it. I don't do the apps and whatnot." And until they're mostly gone and died out.
But look at newspapers, man. Like that's what's happening. Is like those people are getting older. Like my
I'm
generation.
not saying it isn't happening, but I mean, I know people that are not much older than me that are still like very old school thinking.
There are, but look at what's happening to newspapers. That's what I'm saying. That's the example you should use. Is publishing tends to be a bellwether for these things.
Yeah,
like we're in like John's saying, we're in a content grab phase right now because the streaming services are going to be how we're digesting things. Like it's not going to replace terrestrial, like broadcast TV. It's going to replace cable TV.
So my question is, they team up for an app. Like, what does that mean down the road for HBO? And
I think that's why it didn't happen. There's talking about it right now, but I mean, like, does Warner? It's going to be very difficult for Warner and Comcast to play nice.
Yeah.
Blink once for yes, blink twice for no.
I can't.
I know, I was joking.
I just, yeah, I know. It's just,
Tell us off air.
I no, I can't even. Geez, like the Comcast has some pretty good lawyer ninjas too. I mean,
Oh yeah, I ain't messing with them, but that's the thing is like I can speculate. Like
yes.
it's tough, man. I get why they want to do it because they need to compete with Disney. They need to compete with Netflix. Netflix is like they got in on this first, and they still have they still be like, Netflix is going to go away. They're the ones that have the most subscribers.
Yeah.
The fact that they were prescient enough to start streaming before anybody else and saw what was coming and have been able to survive this long says a hell of a lot about their ability to adapt and to fight in this area. I don't think they're going away.
They killed. Let's be honest. Netflix killed one of the most powerful corporations of the 1990s.
Yeah.
Blockbuster Entertainment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, they did.
Blockbuster was absolutely huge.
They were behemoth. Yeah.
And like they wouldn't change with the times, man. And that's the thing is Blockbuster got big by just mowing everybody down, and then they didn't see the future.
Well, in the end, they tried to start a streaming service, but the problem is, but again, right, and that's what Netflix didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix sees these things coming. Whoever is in charge there, man, kudos to them because they're like they can see it coming, and then they execute. Blockbuster was like
they
running the Titanic.
It's like Sears Roebuck.
Yeah.
Netflix completely changed their distribution service. They were a mail order service. They were Columbia House. They were a rental Columbia House.
Yep.
And then they were smart enough to go,
Yeah, people they saw Napster and they're like everybody's downloading music. They could do that with movies too.
And they put all their fun, they put all their resources into creating that infrastructure that changed everything.
Yep.
Right, exactly. I mean, because that's the whole thing too. I think most companies were like, "Oh, it's a long way before everyone's on broadband to make this viable," and it started happening faster than people realized.
Yeah.
So.
And just like a little behind the scenes here from a geek, right? Like my whole world is programming. Some of the stuff that Netflix did in order to create that streaming service business and all that, some of their white papers are like required reading for system architects.
I believe that.
Like they have systems like I'm not going to explain what they are, but like they have systems called they had a system called Hystrix, and they did Crash Monkey or something where they would have something that would just wander through their systems breaking stuff, and it was to test that their systems wouldn't go down. And I mean, like it's amazing the job that they did. So yeah, they're not going anywhere. Like,
we'll see. Disney will put an end to them. All right.
They have more than double the subscribers right now that Disney does.
Yeah.
And Disney's doing great. Like Netflix is so far and ahead of everybody else. It's like it's a tortoise and the hare thing, but I think this hare is just a lot smarter.
Yeah. And they might be able to last long enough where people will literally have to come back to them and say, we can't make our streaming service viable, but we can get a revenue stream through you.
Which is what they used to do.
Yeah.
And like Netflix, but Netflix is like, okay, everyone's going to leave us. That's fine. We'll go heavy into our own stuff.
And they did. And their stuff is pretty good.
It is.
All right. Well, we talked about that stuff longer than I thought we would. So we're going to take our last commercial break. I'll be right back with the rest of the news. All right.
We're going long. Oh boy, are we going long.
Hey man, this is a WandaVision show now.
We'll have a couple more articles to go. I wanted to bring up. This is something that we've been talking about since last year. So of course, a bunch of cons were canceled last year, and WonderCon in Anaheim just announced that they will be going virtual this year. It'll be in March, and they'll have a big virtual event, just like Comic-Con at home and DC Fandom. So
I don't know. I don't know if these things are going to last when everybody's got the vaccine.
No,
Well,
no, but
no,
that's
no,
where
and
we are
that's
now.
no. It's exactly that's the whole thing. It's a stopgap to where we are now,
Yeah.
and they are no replacement for an actual con. I mean, you
They
know how many of my friends are like, I can't wait to get to a con
yeah.
and cosplay. I can't wait to see the people I haven't seen in a long
But
time. Yeah.
they may be an augmentation,
I
like an
agree.
add-on,
I
right?
think so.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think we will see things like this. Like, because you can't do everything in front of people, but like a D23, that's not really a con. That's just like
Hmm.
presentations,
Yeah. Like E3 or
like
well,
E3. That's
mm,
stuff like that. Like, why? Why do this when it's so much cheaper to invest in a sweet ass video presentation to
Yeah.
get your words out? Like I think that this there's going to be stuff from this pandemic that sticks around. The kids were complaining they'll never get a snow day again. They all realized like we're never gonna get a snow day again, and they were all disappointed.
yeah,
And I'm like,
my nephews were already just talking about that. Yeah, John, what was it like when it snowed and you didn't have to go to school? It's like
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? Teachers need a break every once in a while too.
yeah, so do we. Like that used to like, our job used to
Yeah.
be like we now it's like even if I'm like really sick, it's like, I try to call in sick and my boss is like, "Well, did your fingers catch the flu?" It's like well, no. Well, you can still type, right? You can still do code reviews.
I mean, luckily my last job was uh they frowned on us working from home because of the security.
Yeah.
So like I will say that like when I was sick, I was sick. I didn't work from home, but I that is nice when you can do it.
I mean, how many companies are gonna like not have offices in the future?
Well,
The
yeah,
last year,
they're like just realizing, this 44 million that we just spent last year on this office, and now
It's
everybody's
not.
working from home just fine.
It's funny. I because again, I do it professionally. Like I was doing it before the pandemic.
my
It's
wife
it's
too. Mhm.
yeah, but it's like there are definite advantages of being in an office that I can see. Like communication isn't as good when you work remotely and all that kind of stuff. So
True. There's a bit of,
and
I hate to
and
use it.
there are plenty of higher ups at these companies that are like biting their nails going, I can't wait till we get them back in the office and more productive.
Well, micromanagers are really upset. They can't,
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
they
saying.
can't watch their people come in at 9:01 and get them in trouble for it. It's like,
Yes.
but there's a lot of companies that are finding that they're going to save a lot of money by not
Yeah.
having
Oh,
these big offices.
I definitely see mid-sized and small companies like going, you know what,
Mm.
screw it. Why rent that office space?
Mhm.
Well, like
Um,
this is something I can comment on. Like even Comcast is looking seriously at a lot more work from home. Like my office is a data center, so it can't close. But there are other offices that are just all
oh, they have.
development
Well,
houses
I
that
was gonna say like they
Mm.
have offices all over the country that they probably don't need to keep them all open.
yeah.
Um, like same thing with Verizon. Verizon is talk. My brother works for them, and they're talking about uh closing some of the offices, like going permanent for some, but then like where he works, they're like, no, we need you to come in eventually again. So
Mm.
um yeah, no, it's going to change the landscape of all that, and it's going to stick around. Like that's the companies are weighing the dollars and cents at this point to see, well, are we losing money by not being open here, and are we saving
Right.
money and that kind of stuff.
And you
So
got to remember, like again, Comcast just spent I have no idea how many millions of dollars on a brand new building in Philadelphia, the tallest in Philadelphia, and they own the second tallest building in Philadelphia. So, uh, it's not like they can just like suddenly decide to sell those. Especially when the new one was a technology center. So, we are going to have office hours. It's just going to be different.
yeah, so yeah, it's but again, we were talking about WonderCon, so yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
virtual this year. Well,
Well, yeah.
a lot of them went online.
we'll attend WonderCon this year, because since we normally don't go out to Anaheim, we can try to attend it virtually and see what it's all about this year. So
Total
Are they
Con,
char-
Total
are they-
Con in Connecticut is
Are
one
they
of those.
charging for this WonderCon? I'm guessing, right?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? I don't remember
They
seeing that in
have
the
to charge
article.
something like access. Like this is actually going
Yeah,
to
but
speed things up.
but it was home, but it was free. Comic Con at home.
Yeah, because
Well,
what's there to advertise? I mean, like, I'm wondering, like, are you gonna, what kind of access are you getting? I'm wrapping my head around, like, what, how do you make money on this?
for like tech stuff, which like a company called uh, there's a bunch of companies that do that this with tech stuff, and normally what they do is they charge you to be able to join up on certain like classes or whatever, or in this case it would be presentations, I guess,
All right, so
and then later on you can get them for free, but you get first access,
so the
limited number of seats.
the announcement came via Twitter. There is
No fee now yet because they
no
have to make money somehow. Like you
there yeah
said,
there's nothing in the announcement about it. They said that it's only going to be 2 days because of limited financial resources. It's March 26th and 27th, and yeah, so I guess we'll check out the website later to see if there's a cost, but I don't know. Like that's a good
Mhm.
question because like how do you like the celebrities usually get paid to do these?
yeah, but we don't even get access to the celebrities nowadays, right? I mean, like I've seen a few
Well,
of them try to do something online, but
we
like
did
send your
get
stuff in and get it signed. But
for Comic Con at home, we were part of a panel, but we had to submit our questions beforehand, and
yeah,
they never got to our question that we submitted.
mm,
So, um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's why I never talked about it because we didn't get our question asked. But yeah, so I don't know if but WonderCon's only 2 days, so I don't know if they'll do that.
Well, how many times can you ask who would win, Bruce Banner or the Hulk? I mean, like,
All right, all right, all right.
all right, yeah, let's go on. Tom Holland, because it's getting wow, we're going to go on 2 hours now.
Anyway,
Um,
so to me it's confirmed that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be in Spider-Man 3
because he denies it.
because Tom Holland has come out and denied that they're going to be in the movie, and we all know whenever someone in a Marvel movie denies something, it's usually true, and B,
Wait,
it's Tom Holland, and he's probably been told be a good boy.
was he denying it while he was nervously glancing at a guy with a briefcase behind him?
No, he doesn't have to. He does, everything's virtual now, so he didn't even need it. Yes, they are not in this movie.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Yes, they are not in
There's
this
a guy on
movie.
the other side of his laptop, but with a laser pointer pointed at him.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
of things nobody cares about, tell me
Oh,
about Finn Jones and Iron Fist 3. That
Wait,
nobody
you don't
cared
care about Spider-Man 3?
No, I do. I don't care about Tom Holland lying. That's what I don't care about. The man has no
Oh,
credibility. The man has no
we
credibility.
love Tom Holland. Come on,
We
he's
do.
the
oh
best
no,
Spider-Man.
we're all
He's
invested in him.
fantastic. He's
We all love him.
fantastic. He
Yeah.
just is a terrible, terrible.
All right,
writer.
so all right, fine. Let's move on. Geez, you guys are killing me this week. Finn Jones recently came out and revealed what the story plans for the third season of Iron Fist were that never happened.
My
Uh,
God, how could they have messed it up even
he
worse?
he
I
kind of
completely forgot there was a second season. To be
Yeah.
honest with you,
he said that it was going to be like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid with Ward and oh my God, why can't I think of Iron Fist's name? Um, what's Iron Fist's
Danny Rand.
Yeah, got running around in Asia with with him with the golden guns
But it was so messed up. Like
and then
everything was all
and
over the
then
place.
what's her face
Colleen Wing.
Colleen was going to be in New York now that she had the mantle and trying to figure out like that was going to be her story going on parallel while she's figuring out the powers and how to control them.
Yeah.
So did we? I don't know. Was there any interest in that? I mean, it's never going to happen now, so it doesn't really matter. But
It's just too disparate, too all over the place. It sounds like,
I mean, it sounds like a total shift in tone
Yeah.
from the first two seasons as well. Like,
Yeah. It was already like a problem, you know?
yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of Butch and Sundance Kid, but
but it's called Iron Fist, not Iron Bullet. I don't know. I mean, like,
No,
it
that's
just,
but they're that's been something that's been done in the comics, so it's not like
yeah,
it was
but
a.
it didn't. But they had that ending with no explanation whatsoever, and you're sitting there like, what? He's got
But that
powers.
was
He's
good.
got
That's what
powers.
season 3 was for, to explain it.
Yeah, but it was still Danny Rand, so or that actor Finn,
Finn
Jones.
Jones.
I wasn't
I
interested.
liked him. I'm sorry. I think he did the best with what he was given.
Oh,
It was
but
crap.
we
He
was
was
given.
giving crap.
Yeah, it was exactly like why. I mean, my God, his best showing was when somebody else wrote his character in Power Man, right? Like that was the Danny Rand we should have had in the
That's what I'm.
actual
Yeah,
Iron
that's what
Fist
I'm saying.
show.
It was the writing and the directing. I think. I don't
Yeah.
think that was him. I don't think that was an acting issue.
Yeah, no, it was the writing. They
Yeah.
made him whiny and just useless.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
Best he could with what he was given. He was giving crap.
Yes.
Speaking of
So-
crap.
Wow. Are you like ready to go, JD? You're like, let's push us along.
No, I didn't say nothing.
No, that was me. Speaking of
No,
crap.
no. It's like you haven't been offering much insight.
Well, we're going on 2 hours now. We're all tired.
No. I got another pod night, so I'm good. But I mean, I'm just thinking like, what is there to say about this show that's never going to happen based on a show that nobody liked?
Right.
You know, like everyone hated Iron Fist. It wasn't a good show. Like I thought he was an all right choice for the character,
Mhm.
but like it didn't work. And that guy, the showrunner, went on to make another show that everyone hated in Humans. So good. I'm glad this didn't happen because it got Marvel onto TV now. I'm glad they failed. Good. Hot takes.
All right.
I still think they should keep the other actors as their actual selves and bring them into the MCU and just like
Yeah, I agree.
Danny Rand got stuck somewhere and
Just ignore Danny Rand.
Yeah.
Or recast him. Not like they're not past recasting.
Yeah.
And
he got hit by Wanda.
Yeah. He got hexed.
I don't
He
know.
got
I think there's rumors they're bringing back the other actors. Why not bring him back? I don't know.
You've got the other martial artist, right?
Well, you have Shang-Chi coming in. But I mean, that's fine. Yeah, bring him in as Danny Rand. Like, give him a second chance. I'm fine with better material. As long as we get Mike Coulter back as Luke Cage, life is good. That's all I care about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Well, and
Mike Coulter is a beautiful, beautiful man.
And Daredevil too. The guy who played Daredevil
you're
is
right.
awesome.
You're right.
And who else is going to play Jessica Jones?
There's rumors that he's already back.
Right. And who else is going to play Jessica Jones? I mean, like all three of them were beautiful casting choices. And
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. And the shows were awesome.
Mm-hmm. Everyone but Iron Fist.
Yep.
Iron Fist was an abomination.
Yeah.
And Defenders was disappointing. I liked it, but it wasn't as good as the others.
It would have been good if Danny Rand had been played right. The whole thing would have been good. I think.
All right.
It works better.
No, you can't tell me there's a dragon underneath the city, and then like you don't show me the dragon.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Like that's just not managing expectations.
Yeah. All right. So go on, Dave. You were saying.
And oh my God.
I was promised a dragon.
Yeah.
The last. Yeah, I know. We didn't get the dragon.
Speaking of promises broken.
And the last article I only brought because it was the last movie I saw in theaters in 2020, which was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ugh.
They announced this week we are going to get a Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
With the original CGI?
Coming out in April of 2022.
Didn't Sonic 1 bomb? Am I wrong on that? I thought it was like a failure, especially because they had to do all the reanimation.
That's a good question.
This is the most surprising story of the week, by the way.
They set up a sequel, though. They do set that up at the end of it.
But they set up a lot of sequels to bad movies. Remember in Masters of the Universe when Frank Langella's head pops? I'll be back. No, you won't.
Hold on. Did you see the movie?
Not. No, of course not.
What makes you think it's bad?
I didn't say it was bad. I said it was a failure. I said it wasn't a bomb.
All right, let's see. Hold on. Its budget was
open to an estimate.
No. Its
Okay.
budget was 81 to 95 million. It made 319 million. So
Oh,
no, it
never
wasn't a
mind.
bump.
It
Never
made
mind. It
that
did
much?
great. I had no
Yeah.
idea it made that much.
Oh,
All right,
yeah,
then this
it was.
makes complete sense.
Is that
I get
all
it.
in? Is that all in like Japan? I mean,
Who cares?
When I
Money is
saw it-
money.
When I saw it, the theater was packed. So I mean,
Okay.
and, yeah, there's a lot of Sonic fans. Like,
I'm
don't.
not the target demographic of this. Then I
Well-
thought
My son, it was the target demographic. He loved the movie.
granted, sorry, go ahead.
no good. Okay.
Oh well,
I-
I was okay. I was gonna say, granted, it also was Jim Carrey returning to form. Like
Yes,
like
yes.
he wasn't. It wasn't sad Jim Carrey. It was wacky Jim Carrey.
Wacky Jim Carrey.
Hmm.
So,
You're not improved. You're not impressed by that, JD.
No.
I was distracted by the cat in the background.
I just, like I said, I was very surprised. I'm looking at it right now. I'm very surprised the movie did that well. Makes perfect sense to do a sequel. I thought the narrative around the film was that it was a failure. Clearly, that is not accurate.
No.
Good for Paramount.
Yeah, yeah.
Who also
They're
has a
good-
streaming service.
They're gonna
And-
bring Tails into it this time.
Yes.
Because why wouldn't you? Where else do you go with Sonic?
That's the
Well,
that's the cliffhanger at the end of the movie. Tails
it
shows up.
Dark Sonic and Knuckles, and there are like 4 different Sonic timelines, and there's a lot of story you could use actually. Surprisingly enough,
I really enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on my Genesis growing up. That was a very fun game.
yeah, you wouldn't believe where they've gone with
Oh,
that,
yeah.
with the
There's
TV shows, the
so
comic
many-
books. There's like,
so many different, yeah, and like the different stories in the games. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
So many different styles of games too. It's not just you running anymore. So, I mean, that's the main mechanic of most of them. But yeah, yeah. So I look forward to more information about Sonic 2. I enjoyed it. My son enjoyed it. Obviously, we'll go see it in the theater when it comes out. So yeah, that's my take. So
Video
So-
games is a cultural blind spot of mine, so good for them.
yeah.
So we're not going to talk about Gina Carano or anybody or anything like that, I guess, huh?
You don't read your emails, do you, John? Are you trying to be an asshole?
Trying?
No, we're not going to talk about her this week.
Mm.
Peanut butter.
Can't talk, my mouth.
See, there you go. No. There's also too many rumors floating around about it right now that I don't even want to get into it. So, and I'm sure every other nerd podcast on the planet is covered to ad nauseum at this point. So,
Pretty much.
yeah. So, all right.
I committed to that bit. Now I have to get rid of all the peanut butter in my mouth.
That
While
was, good.
JD's trying to get rid of the peanut butter, John, do you have any recommendations for the audience this week?
Not really. Well, okay. So, this may be something that I've recommended before, but I'm going to recommend it again because I am slowly but surely working my way through Jim Butcher's.
Mm-hmm.
The Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, and the 2 new books. I'm starting to hit the 2 new books now, and he's returned to form. I'm very happy. And if you are a fan of stuff like Marvel movies where there are characters all over the place and there are like gatherings of like Avenger groups and stuff like that, these books will satisfy you in ways you cannot imagine. So I would pick those up.
If you're a fan of urban fantasy,
Yeah. Well, Jim Butcher is
Jim Butcher
considered-
and J.D. Oliva are your 2 best authors.
And-
to
yeah.
I'm more of a horror writer, a thriller writer, but yeah, he kind of created he actually did create the urban fantasy genre. Every single urban fantasy book out there is essentially a ripoff of
of
what
the
he
Dresden
does,
Files.
which is what you're told to do, right to market. Like find out what Jim Butcher did and copy it.
Pretty
Right.
much.
Cool. How far do you think I need to go back to remember? I was thinking of starting a ghost story.
What? Oh,
I don't want to
no,
reread
Ghost. You could start after Ghost Story. I would
There's a
say.
ghost story where they introduced the island, and I know the island is a big part of what's going
Yeah,
on now.
yes. Well, it's right after Ghost Story that they really introduce it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like book nine. Again, like this. I think the next two books, the two books he just put out for finishing the series are like book like 16 and 17.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's looking to do a 3-book Armageddon. It just, he is like amazing. So yeah.
All right. Cool. JD.
I had a slow week because I was so focused on finishing the book. I didn't imbibe much media last week. I'm trying to think. I have
Yeah.
started. I have decided that for the website, I'm going to do a full review on John Ostrander's run on the Suicide Squad. So I'm 7 issues in right now,
Mm-hmm.
and boy, man, there's some comic conventions of the 1980s that have been abandoned for the better,
Right.
but the themes and ideas that Ostrander is working with really hold up. Like, there's some stuff that's done that you can't get away with nowadays, but I mean, like, on the whole, they did one particular issue where a rich white supremacist is trying to basically con these people into like his ideas, and the Suicide Squad has to take him out, and it's so well written, man. And it's just like I was reading this, like, man, this
I,
could have been written today.
I don't
Like,
know how that's relatable today. Come on.
well, that's like it's interesting. I'm like, man, this book, it's one, it's sad, it's like, wow, it's been 35 years and nothing has changed. In another way, it's like these books still have relatability, and like
Yeah.
this is why there's interest in it now, and why a Suicide Squad movie 2 now are viable. And like, I'm really looking forward to when I get to write this piece, because the art, I'm not a huge Luke McDonald fan. I don't think it's that great. But like, as far as like the Ostrander's writing goes and where his brain is at, man, if this DC Universe Infinite, too long a title, app is really good. So man, read Suicide Squad books. They're really good.
Cool. That is a great recommendation. I of course will recommend that people go over to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all of our social media at the top of the page. Reviews by our good friend D Square, and eventually by our good friend JD.
I had to finish a book.
And then actually I got a weird one this week, because I've only used the app once. But if you're a writer or a podcaster and you like to dictate, if you're a writer and you like to dictate, or if you're a podcaster, there's an app called Descript, and you plug your audio or your video into this app. It is great at doing transcription, and then you can sit there and take keywords like which I know I just said like 5 times, and it'll just erase it from the transcription, and when it erases from the transcription, it erases it from the audio. So it's a really great editing tool in that sense. However, you can only do 2 hours a month for free. So 1 episode a month we can use, unless I decide to pay for it. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's like $10 a month to do unlimited. So it's just like, is it worth it? I'm debating that right now. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. If you're a podcaster, if you're somebody wants to dictate your writing and clean it up and stuff, it's a really great tool. It works with video as well, so keep that in mind. Yeah, and I keep saying because now it's in my head. So on that note, as always, boys and girls, thanks for hanging out with us, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.